Hello, beautiful souls. I'm your host, Shakira Moore, and welcome to another episode of the Perspective Matters podcast. So, for this week, I want to share with you 6 lessons that I have learned from Bob Marley, and this episode is in honor of Bob Marley's birthday, which is February 6th. So in honor of the fact that he was born on February 6th, I'm going to share with you 6 lessons that I have learned from him. Now, unfortunately, he died on May 11th, 1981, years before I was born, but his music, his interviews, his philosophy live on. And I'm going to take this time just to go through these lessons. And I'm hoping that as you listen to this episode and as you celebrate his birthday in some way, shape, or form, that you will take the time to reflect on his message and you can find a lesson that you can apply to your life. So the first lesson that I learned is don't work for success. Work for a purpose. And by that I mean success should be the byproduct of whatever it is you're trying to achieve. It shouldn't be the goal. So in making music, it was never Bob Marley's intention to become famous. He had a message that he wanted to bring to the people. His message was of love and of unity, and in spreading that universal message, the impact it had was global. And as a result, he became famous, but that was never his intent. So the lesson I took from his example and his life is that I need to find my own purpose, walk in my own purpose, and if I stay true to that purpose, then success will be a byproduct. And success for me will look different from somebody else's definition of success, and that's okay. So he never set out to get fame, to get riches, certainly to be able to make a living for himself, of course, but the notoriety and the impact that he had, I can imagine, was way more than he could have even anticipated. So as I continue to live my life and I continue on my own journey of self-discovery and a revelation of my own purpose, I will remember and I'll be guided by the fact that it is staying true to that purpose. It is staying true to the mission and the reason I was put on this earth. That in and of itself is what is important, and chasing success or what this world deems as success, such as money and material things, is not what I should be pursuing. The second lesson that I learned from Bob Marley: your words and your actions must align. He talked the talk and he also walked the walk. And for me, that is very important because we have so many examples where the actions of people contradict what they say, or the words of people contradict what they do. So in Bob Marley's case, he preached love, he preached unity, he preached the importance of having a level of consciousness, and that was how he lived. He never got caught up in the fact that the entire world knew him and knew his songs. He never became arrogant because of it. He didn't bring the message to the people and then live a completely different lifestyle that was in total opposition to what he was preaching. He lived by his word. His philosophy was very evident in how he carried himself, in how he conducted himself. And for me, that is important, that as I live my own life, my actions and my words should always align. They should at no point in time ever contradict each other. The third lesson that I learned from Bob is to speak life and speak love. Now, I've done an episode already about the power of words. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I encourage you to pause this one and go listen to that episode, and I'll link the episode in the show notes. But our words are powerful, and it is important that we speak life and speak love. speak love and life into our own lives and into the lives of others. It is so easy to be careless with our speech. It is so easy to curse ourselves and to cast spells over our own lives because we aren't intentional with the things that we say. Bob Marley's message was always about love and peace and togetherness and the entire humanity living as one and in one accord. And there is something to be said about the impact that his music had. His music transcended gender, age, ethnicity, class. And that's how powerful words are, and even more powerful when combined with music. So my encouragement to you is be careful about the things that you say, because your words can hurt and they also can heal. Your words can bring forth life and it can also bring forth death. So be mindful, be intentional with the things that you say and who you say them to, because you never know who is listening. The fourth lesson I'd like to share is know thyself. Now we've heard that saying or variations of that saying before, but Bob Marley was the embodiment of knowing thyself. In many interviews, the interviewers asked questions that could derail the entire experience, almost laying traps. And what I loved about Bob's response was he knew his purpose. He knew he had a message to bring to the people. He knew who he was, and he was resolute in staying true to who he was. Now in today's society, it is so easy to follow trends. Every day there's another challenge. The fear of missing out is so real and so potent that you can get caught up. It is so easy to get lost in what other people are doing, so wrapped up in who other people are that you can lose your own self. So my encouragement to you is know who you are. There is no other greater and more important relationship that you will ever have more than the relationship with yourself. You need to know who you are beyond the shadow of a doubt, and also understand that you are an ever-evolving being. You're meant to grow, you're meant to learn, you're meant to change, and that is okay. And you have to accept that and embrace it. But you must know who you are, because if you don't, the world will tell you who you are and you won't be in a position to object to it. So have that intimate relationship with yourself. Be resolute in the understanding that you have about who you are. So when the world tries to tell you differently, you can be firm and absolute in your response that I know who I am and you can't tell me any different. The fifth lesson that I learned is people must come into self-awareness on their own. Bob's mission was to bring the message of love and peace and unity and consciousness. And in delivering that message through the universal language of music, he recognized that not everybody was open to that message. Not everybody was receptive to that message. Not the message and not the packaging. And by packaging, I mean how Bob presented himself. The locks, the weed, his championing of Rastafarianism, and even in the resistance to his message, he persevered, because there is no time limit on when self-awareness takes place. So if you're on your journey and you are growing and evolving and the people around you aren't, it is not for you to force your philosophies onto them, because your journey is different from theirs. My journey is different from yours. What the situation calls for is compassion and patience and understanding. And that is how Bob dealt with people. So as you go through your own journey, it will be obvious to you, based on your experience and your encounters with other people, who is self-aware and who isn't. And it is not your role to make those people become self-aware. Just extend compassion, patience, a lot of patience, and trust that in time, those people will come into a knowing. The sixth and final lesson that I'm going to share with you is everything rests in the mind. Now, in one of Bob Marley's interviews, he said these words, everything rests in the mind. And that's a powerful statement, a very powerful and profound statement, because everything starts with a thought. Everything. You look around you and everything that you can see and touch and hear, even smell and taste, all started as a thought, and the thought developed into an idea, and the idea became a thing. Now, in his explanation of this statement, everything rests in the mind, is the idea that your mindset influences your choices. And it's true. If your mind is stuck on negative, then you best believe those are the experiences you're going to have. And if it is easy for you to think a negative thought, just look at the experiences that you're having. You are a thought away from happiness or suffering. Just think about it. Have you ever been to, let's say, an event? You're at a concert and the performer on stage is doing an amazing job. You're singing along, you're having a grand old time. And for some reason, your mind takes you, or you allow your mind to take you, to a place of worry. Let's say you have a project due and it is nowhere near completed, but the deadline is approaching. And for as long as you are thinking about that project and focusing on the deadline that's approaching, you feel miserable. Bear in mind you're at this concert. Bear in mind just seconds ago you were having a fantastic time, but you chose, whether consciously or subconsciously, the decision was made, and you chose to think about a project that was due and completely change your mood, change your energy, and change the emotional state that you're in. Can you think back to a memory like that? So my encouragement to you is your thoughts can and will influence your experiences and your perspective of these experiences. You are a thought away from happiness or misery, and I encourage you, choose happiness. My beautiful souls, thank you so much for listening. I hope that as I shared my 6 lessons with you, that you took the time to reflect on Bob Marley's message, his philosophy, his music, his impact, and that you have purposed in your heart that you will endeavor to know yourself, endeavor to keep your actions and your words aligned, that you will speak life and love, that you will find your purpose and pursue it. It was my absolute pleasure sharing with you again this week. Happy birthday, Bob Marley. Happy birthday. I hope you celebrate his birthday in some way, shape, or form. You must have a favorite Bob Marley song, and if you don't, today is the day to find one. Today is as good a day to really get into his music. And one thing is for certain, when the music hits, you feel no pain. So until next time, remember, there are 2 sides to every coin. Just flip it to get the full view. Catch you next week. Bye.